Good morning, class. Yesterday we had the background of the sound significance in the poetry, as well as we were introduced with the author, and we also did some the relevant background from the play in context to our poetry, Full Fathom 5, Thy Father Lies. And in today's class, we are getting into the poetry. Let's look into the poetry first, what the poetry says. Full fathom 5, thy father lies. And as I already told you, this poetry is a song by Ariel, right? Song, this is sang by Ariel, the invisible spirit. And in the tempest, in the violent sea storm, Ferdinand believes that his father, King Alonso, and other members of the royal court have drowned in the shipwreck, have drowned in that tempest during the shipwreck. This is what Ferdinand assumes. And while Ferdinand is grieving, while Ferdinand is mourning the death of his father, this grief-stricken heart is provided the solace by the second song, and that is Full Fathom 5, Thy Father Lies. Here in this poetry, Ariel sings a song to soothe, to provide solace to the grieving heart of Prince Ferdinand. Now, what Ariel says, Ferdinand is assuming, he is thinking that his father has died and he is grief-stricken. His heart is grieving, he is mourning his father's death. And at the time, Ariel, to provide the solace, to soothe the grieving soul, to console the grief-stricken heart, sings this song, Redefining Death. So in this song, Ariel redefines death. Ferdinand is saying, "Oh, my father is dead," he is crying. And Ariel says, "Hey, wait, your father is not dead. You say it to be death, but it is something else. Your father has not been in the state of ruin and dilapidation and decay that you are thinking, Ferdinand. Rather, your father has been into some other stage." And how Ariel redefines death, let's check that into the poetry. Full fathom 5, thy father lies. Of his bones are coral made. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Nothing of him that doth fade, but suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his knell, ding dong, hark! Now I hear them, ding dong bell. Now what is Ariel saying? Ariel is saying, Ferdinand, your father is not dead. What? Now what is fathom? Fathom is a unit of measurement. And 1 fathom equals to 6 feet. That means 30 feet. So what Ariel is saying to Ferdinand is grieving, mourning his father's death, and Ariel says, "Hey Ferdinand, wait, don't cry. Your father is not dead. Your father rather is lying 30 feet below in this blue water. He is not dead. he is lying 30 feet below this deep water. Death is the end. That is about the eradication of this entity from the existence. But Ariel says, your father is not dead. He is lying there. See, 30 feet below this, 30 feet in this deep water, this blue water, there your father is lying. His bones have turned into corals. His eyes have turned into pearls. Nothing of his body have vanished into the thin air. Nothing of his body has faded, has been lost from this existence. Every part of his body is in the existence, but they have only transformed their shape, size, form. They are there. His bones have transformed into coral. His eyes have transformed into pearl. He is there, lying there. His body hasn't vanished from this entity. He is still existing in this entity. After that, what Ariel says is, it is only that he has only gone through the change. He has undergone change. He has undergone transformation. He has turned from one state into another state. He has changed from one condition to another condition. It is just the shift, the transition. Your father haven't been lost from the entity. Your father is still here in the entity. It is only that your father has changed himself from one form to another form. His bones have turned into corals, eyes into pearls. So he hasn't been lost. Only the body has changed from one matter to another matter, from one state of matter to another state. It is just the change. This is the vast change that your father has undergone. This is the vast transformation that your father underwent. Actually, your father is still in the existence. And after that, what he says, he had changed. He had changed into something rich and strange. That is, your father has changed into more longer. Your father has changed into more prosperous stage than before. Your father now have the longer life than before. Your father has changed into something grand, something good. Your father hasn't decayed and changed into soil or eaten by the maggots. Rather, your father has transformed into something valuable, something precious, something better than the stage he was in before, something better than his bones and eyes, something longer lasting than he was in before. So your father is lying there, his bones, eyes have turned into something else. He hasn't faded from the entity. He had just undergone change, and this change has turned him into more valuable, more precious, longer lasting entities. Now sea nymphs, he rings hourly, knell is a death bell. Well, like that song we blow when someone dies. These Christians have this ritual of ringing a bell at the deathbed, and this bell is known as the knell. Okay, so now what he is saying, Ariel is saying is, see, your father is not actually dejected, depressed there. He is not in a state of ruin there. Actually, your father is welcomed there. See, nymphs are soothing him. See, nymphs are entertaining him. They are ringing bell hourly for your father's sake. Your father is being entertained there. Your father is enjoying there. There your father is not neglected. Your father has not been into the void, not been into the dark underground, but your father has been into some place which is beautiful, rich and glorious, and also more entertaining than this world that your father was in. So there nymphs are entertaining your father. Your father is not having a bad time there, but your father is having a good time there. Your father is enjoying there. That's not the place that you mourn for. Actually, he is in a better state and is taken care of by the sea nymphs. Hark! Listen! Now I hear them, ding dong bell. Ferdinand, listen, I can hear the bell, ding dong bell, that's ringing there. That's actually ringing for your father. Hark, listen, you can listen that bell. Now this is what Ariel says to Ferdinand. What Ariel says is, Ferdinand is mourning his father's death. He is crying over the loss of his father, and Ariel comes, the invisible spirit. And this invisible spirit says, Ferdinand, your father is not dead. He is lying 30 feet below this blue water. There your father's bones have turned into corals. His eyes have transformed into pearls. He have changed into something. His body parts, he haven't just vanished from the entity, but your father have undergone the change, transformation. Your father have changed into something rich, something more valuable, and something of longer lasting than before. There, where your father is now, sea nymphs are ringing hourly bells to pleasure him, to provide him the soulless pleasure, to entertain him. They are ringing the bells, and if you listen carefully, we can hear the bell. We can hear that sound where your father is being entertained by the sea nymphs. Now, what is poet trying to suggest us through these images? This chapter comes under the topic called Ecology and Change. Now, what is this poetry saying is, in the ecosystem, in this nature, in this universe, nothing is wasted or fades from the existence. They always remain in existence, either in different forms or shapes. They remain in this existence. We have the law of conservation of energy that states energy can neither be created nor can be destroyed, can only be transferred from one form to another form. Now see, this is what our poem is also saying. Our poem, Ariel says, your father have changed into something. Now see, if I die, what happens is, I will turn into soil. Maggots will eat me up. Now when I die, maggots will eat me up. I will turn into soil, and this soil into plant, and plant into animal, and maybe someday God. So this is the process of nature, where stone turns into soil, and soil into tree, and tree into animal. Like that is prominent through the water also. Ice melts and turns into water. Water evaporates and turns into vapor. Vapor condenses and turns into water or ice again. So here, at the moment we have the transitory loss of one form. I am lost, I am dead, my body is not here in this form. But the same body has turned into a tree. So this is the transformation that happens in nature. This is the process of change that every element in nature goes through. And what we consider is the end. When, for example, let's say we have a seed. Now this seed definitely have to vanish for a tree to come up, for the tree to germinate. This seed have to vanish. Now, when seed vanishes and the tree comes out, do you say it the death of the seed? No, it is not the death of the seed. It is rather the transformation of the seed. It is the change of the seed into tree, and that is meaningful. If that seed fails to produce the tree, that is impotent, meaningless, and that is wasted in the existence. So everything undergoes this change, and this change is inevitable. This change cannot be resisted. Everything in this entity changes from one form to another form, like the law of conservation of energy. Nothing is wasted, nothing fades away. For a moment, when water evaporates into vapor, we see the loss of this form, water. But actually, water has lost? No, water has just changed its form into the vapor. Like, for example, I am all made up of nitrogen, hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, right? They all make my amino acids and fat and everything, right? So the people who are studying organic chemistry may make a sense of these molecules in our body, right? Now, when these molecules dismantle, I am lost. When these molecules come and combine together, I am here. How we came into existence? The amino acids, right? In a great pool, those lipids, those fats actually combine together. And now see, we are here. So this means those elements, they changed their form. And I am here. Now those elements will dismantle, take their own form. I am lost. So at that moment when my body is not there, you cannot say I am not there. The molecules that constituted me is here in the entity. The air that I breathe and the air that is my soul, the air that is my breath is here in the entity. There is a beautiful joke in one of the Ved. What it says is, once all the organs of the body started fighting, the sense perceptions started fighting. And now, one of the sense perceptions said, okay, all the sense perceptions start fighting together and they went to Brahma, the great creator. And now Brahma, in front of Brahma, these sense perceptions are saying, hey, I am great, I am great, I am great. Now Brahma said, come on, let's decide it this way. Each of you leave the body, and still in your absence, if the body can survive, then that is not the great. The one in whose absence body cannot survive, that one is the great. Now these sense organs, first the sense of smell went away. The man is still surviving. The sight went away. The man is still surviving. Auditory perception went away. Man is still surviving. Somatosensory perception went away. Man is still surviving. So on. With all the senses gone, man is still surviving. And last it comes the time of breath. Breathe. This breath is actually not the entity of the body. It comes from somewhere else. And this is what, if once leaves our body, we never survive. So see, where is our soul? It's somewhere in the entity. And this air will always remain there, what is providing me the life. So do I die actually, or I just transfer from one form to another form? Like in Hindu myths also, in Hindu myth there is another concept of 8,400,000 births. What is this? Every Hindu say that 84 lakh juni. What is this 88,400,000 of births? This is the change that we undergo in this existence. So no one dies, they just change from one form to another form. Like a caterpillar goes inside the cocoon, and after that comes as a butterfly with the wings. Now, at the moment, for a moment, the caterpillar is lost. The caterpillar definitely passed away to give way to the butterfly. Now, can we say it to be the death of a caterpillar, or caterpillar had just changed into a butterfly? The caterpillar had just changed into a butterfly. But we think this state, this form to be everything. And once we change from this form to another form, we consider it to be the death. Now ice melts and changes into water. Do you say it to be the death of ice? No, it is not the death of ice. It is just the ice has changed its form. Again, it can be turned into ice. Once there in a social networking site, I think in Twitter or Facebook somewhere, I read a story. That story was about twins, and these twins were fighting inside the belly of the mother. Now two twins. There are twins, and twins in the belly of the mother are arguing. The first twin says, "Hey, second one, can you listen? It's a mother all around us. You close your eyes, you feel, you will hear the heartbeat of a mother. And you know, one day we will get a chance to get out of this world. And outside this world, we will see our mother with these eyes. There will be light, there will be glow. We'll get a chance to embrace and hug our mother. There we will eat with our mouth, and we will breathe with the nostrils. There is, the world would be different there." And the second one says, "What a bullshit, come on, you are in illusion. This is the world that we are in. This amniotic fluid that we float in is our world. Feeding with the mouth, you feed with the umbilical cord, breathing with the nostrils. How do you breathe with your nostrils? Breathe here, you will die. This is the world. This is everything here, mother. Have you seen a mother? There is nothing so-called mother. This is the world, and once we exit this world, we are dead. We are no more. There is nothing outside this world. Everything is here and now. This amniotic fluid is our world, and this umbilical cord is the place from where we eat. It is not the mouth. Breathe from the nostril. You are in illusion. That's your fancy, dude." This is what the second one says. Now, when they will come out into this world, definitely these people have to die, these fetus have to die, these twins have to die for the womb. They definitely die for the womb. But coming into the existence, they will get a new life. So on happens with us. We think like the second twin inside the womb, who thinks this is the world and here everything ends, here everything dies out, passes out. But that does not happen. Let me illustrate this with another example. Here I have a glass, and this glass is empty, right? Now the space outside and in this glass. Now this glass has a space here. Whose space is this? This is the space of this glass, or this is the space of this entity, the greater infinite, the universe? Now if it was a vacuum, here there would be no space. So this definitely is a space of this entity. I take it here, it is taking the space of this place. I take it here, it is taking the space of this place. Now if I break this, what happens? The space is lost, or space merges into the greater infinite, the real. This is the space here. We have just covered this space, right? And once the glass breaks, this space inside merges into its infinite form, merges into its infinite reality. So this is what happens with us too. We are like this glass. This is the body. And once the body breaks down, our consciousness merges into the infinite consciousness. Our consciousness merges into the greater consciousness. Imagine We are the people and we are capable to imagine these things. We are capable of thinking these grand and eloquent ideas. Now, what about the whole entity that is the production house of the people like me? This entity must also have this consciousness, right? And that consciousness is far greater than mine. So what I can, it's like the space of a glass and the greater space. The consciousness in my head is the space of the glass, and the consciousness that is all of the universe is the space that is scattered around. Now when my body dismantles and goes into its form, hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, whatever it is, the air element goes to air, the earthen element goes to earth, that 5 elements, what we say in, so this is how actually everything merges into its own form, changes from one form to another form. In Hindu system of beliefs, what we believe is that the body is made up of 5 different elements. What are they? They are earth, air, water, ether, the sky and the fire. Now you see here. Here the 3 elements, earth, air and water, are the representation of 3 states of matter. And fire is the plasma, that is the representation of the external energy. Now what happens is solid, liquid and gas, they change their forms. And to change their form, to have the interaction, they need a platform, right? So this platform is the ether. This fire, the plasma, is the agent. Like in Newton's law, what we see is state, any body wants to remain in a state of motion, either in a state of motion or in a state of rest, until and unless it is applied by the external force. Now these 3 states wants to remain in their own form. This is the fire that pokes them, changes them, and now the reaction takes place. So what is, how this is applied to our life is, I want to remain in this state. I don't want to die. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be here, static, in this way, forever. But can I do so? No. I am forced to undergo change. I am forced to die. I am forced to grow old. So this is the change. See, every body is trying to remain in its state. Either it is in motion or state, it is trying to gain the static position. That means it is trying to hold on to the contemporary status that the body is in. Like the father who doesn't want to die. Ferdinand, who doesn't want his father to die, that means he doesn't want himself also to die. He is mourning the death, that means he is taking death as negative. So they all tend to remain in their state. But the nature entity has definitely forced them to change their state, right? So now see, what we are seeing here is, we don't want to change. Everything want to hold on to their state. But this nature forces everything to the change. Everything undergoes change. And while things transfer from one form to another form, in this transition, we see the element ceasing to exist, but the real essence of the element never ceases to exist. The essence of water does not cease to exist with the change of water into ice and vapor. The essence is there, just the shape, form, size have changed. So on, Ferdinand's father's bones have changed into coral, eyes have changed into pearls. He have gone under the change of this vast, 84 lakhs, the vast ocean, sea of change. He has undergone this. But he hasn't died, faded away from this existence, like the energy itself that can neither be created nor can be destroyed, can only transfer from one form to another form. I, my father's semen, mother's egg, they fused. The zygote came, egg is lost, semen is lost, the new entity came, zygote, and this zygote developed into a fetus, and now see, I am here. So what is this? Do you say it is the death of a semen and death of the sperm, is of the egg, or it is the death of the zygote. Am I a zygote now? So it is definitely, we see it as a death when semen and egg, ova and ovum fuses. This fuses and becomes the zygote. We see no more egg and sperm there. Now that is not the death of egg and sperm. Now zygote is there and this turns into a fetus, a whole creature like me. At that moment of time, this embryonic cell is not dead, rather this is the cell that has transformed into me, right? The gills shape, we get the gill shape in the early stage and that turns into our ear cartilage. So see, in the entity, everything are similar. Deep down in the ocean, it's calm and silent. And up in the surfaces, we see various different tides. And all of these tides consider themselves to be the separate, individual, unique entity. But diving down the deep blue water, what we discover is all these tides, though separate in the surface, comes from the same molecule, and that is the water. Now tide, when it is up high, it says I am living like us, and when it dissolves down, merges into the water, it says I am dead like us. So what are we? We are coming like a waves from this entity, and we are again getting back into those pit of the ocean, into the same form where we came from. The same slok in Sanskrit when Arjun actually is in dilemma whether to fight or not to fight. If I fight, I have to kill my grandfather, kill my guru. So better not to fight. Saying this, Arjun lifts his bow and arrow. And at the time Krishna comes and Krishna says him, Abhektadini bhutani bhektamadhyani bharata abhekta nidananeva tatra ka parivedana. That means you were in the unmanifested void before the manifestation, before the existence, and that is where you are definitely going to be after your death. This form that you are in is just the transitory form. So why do you lament for the transitory phase? This is exactly what Ariel is saying to Ferdinand. Hey, your father has transferred from one form to another form. Don't cry over this transition. Everything in this entity have the spiral motion. They go upward like in the quantum physics. What happens? Energies are secreted in a packets called quanta, and these packets always tend to jump from lower orbit to higher orbit. They never come from higher orbit to lower orbit. So on. Man also, every entity in this universe goes through this transformation, and in each change they are transformed into the higher entity. They are transformed into more valuable and longer lasting entity. They are jumping from the lower realm into the higher realm. Each change takes you a step up into the realm. This is not the deterioration, something rich and strange. That is what he means. So this is all about the poetry. If you have any problem with the question answer,